All right, and the runners are beginning to start now. So here we got Link in his bed with all 4 of his uncles on screen, all at the same time. So we'll kind of try to get everyone lined up here. So for anyone that is just popping in for their first race of this tournament, this is the Link to the Past No Major Glitches Spring Tournament of 2018. The last time that there was a major tournament for this category of this game was in the spring of 2016. These will be games that will be, these races will be part of the pool play that will eventually eliminate 2 people from each pool. So on the top, we got Parisian Player racing Contos, and on the bottom, we're going to have Rezi racing WQ. We'll see how long it is before someone picks up a chest that they would only pick up in randomizer.
That already happened in the race that started an hour ago?
The first race, the map chest in the escape was grabbed already.
It's not going to be the last time. It's going to happen a lot in this tournament with all the randomizer converts.
So we've got our boys making our way through the escape, going down to the dungeon room where they will get their first enemy fight with the blue key guard. There are a number of strategies you can use here. Parisian opting for the up slash, Contos opting for the 3 slash, and WQ going with the left splash spin. So we just got the entire spectrum of ways you can do that room. The left slash spin is the optimal but pretty precise movement and spin. The up slash is a little bit easier and also very competitive. And the 3 slash is actually a very consistent and quick way to dispatch that guard. People tend to think that because you slash a sword more times that it's significantly slower, but it really is not much slower at all.
I guess because otherwise you have to move while your sword is held out, which is a little bit slower, so you waste more time that way.
Yeah, you're a little bit slower on that movement. If you slash him down toward the bottom of the screen and then slash him 2 more times, it's because you don't have to move slow, like you mentioned. It's pretty comparable. So we have Parisian going for 1 pot and 4 slashes on the ball and chain knight. Really, really smooth. WQ going for 8 slashes, which is a little bit quicker. And Rezi with a really, really nice 8 slash guard.
That was really tidy. Yeah, that was well done.
So it's actually faster to pick up the lamp here than it is to pick it up in Link's house because of your proximity to Zelda anyway, rather than having to move all the way to the corner of Link's room, which is why we skipped the first chest, which also contains the lamp if you grab it first.
I believe the hallway next to where you get this uncle's sword also has a lamp if you wanted to pick it up from there.
Yeah, if you walk through all the way to the right there, you can get the lamp there. The game really wants you to have the lamp.
I think all the players are pretty close at the moment. Parisian player looks like he's ahead, but I think his clock is about 10 seconds ahead of the others. But it's pretty close, I think.
Yeah, he looks like he's a little bit unsynced, but approximately the same place as all the other runners. Got the ever-elusive map from Contos, just making sure he knew where the dungeon was. You know, he wasn't sure there was a door behind there. That's all. No biggie.
that text box before the throne room is one of my least favorite. I always mess up mashing there.
It's pretty easy to do. So, understandable. Some really good snake RNG for Contos. Parisians was kind of a mess. So snakes all over the place. Like Raiders of the Lost Ark up on his screen. Contos had very friendly snakes. Parisian getting one of the favorable Keyrat RNGs. WQ getting the best Keyrat RNG. Contos also getting a good Keyrat RNG. Wow, these kids are so much luckier than I am. Where's mine at? Top left corner every time.
Rezi had a good one too, but I think he went after the wrong rat.
It looked like the other one kind of snuck in the way a bit. Parisian with a 557 escape. WQ with a 551. Contos with a 58. All very good times. And Rezi rounding out the escapes with a 607. Also a very good time. So excellent start for everyone, honestly. We'll likely be seeing everybody pick up the sync chart except WQ, who has opted to leave it behind to save a couple seconds there.
It kind of surprised me. I thought he might pick it up because it's a race setting.
I think there are probably going to be a small pocket of runners who will not pick it up in the tournament. WQ, I expected not to. I'm not sure if Eddie, Darkmind Demon, will grab it or not. There are a couple of runners that have just run the game for so long without it that I think that it's just kind of second nature at this point.
I mean, for pretty much everyone, it's a good idea because it's only 3 seconds. And
yeah, it's not a significant time loss at all for the tournament purpose. Yeah, totally with you.
And as soon as you make a little mistake in a room or in a boss, then you have to spend more than 3 seconds to try and play it safe. That's the time you made
WQ is currently blinking at the half heart too, making us a little nervous. He's gotten past most of the obstacles at this point and should be able to get in safely, but a little bit of a scare for WQ.
He's going to have to spend some time picking up hearts before the big key room.
The nice thing about Eastern, and if you're ever in danger of heartage, they're pretty favorable spots. Like the first one that he'll pick up here is hardly slower than picking up the optimal pot, and the pot in the Skelly room that he'll grab shortly, you have to pick up regardless. So fortunately, he's able to kind of get his health back without costing too much time. Both of those first runners doing the skeleton room perfectly. Contos coming up with another really, really smooth skeleton pot throw. WQ also opting to ignore the 5 arrow pot there. Oh, Rezi having a little bit of trouble with the Skelly room. Able to clean it up though. Parisian getting a nice 5 drop from that Popo there, trying to make sure he's good to go on his rupee route. Parisian having a little bit of trouble with the skip there, but both of the runners are able to manage to get through safely. Contos with a really nice D boost.
WQ almost got hit by that skeleton as well, and he's only on 1 heart.
He's playing with a little bit of fire to start this race. The rest of Eastern should be okay for him. Ooh, Parisian got a really nice, friendly 20 drop in that dark room. Gifted with greenies. Getting gifted with a nice red.
Sometimes you can get an almost friendly 20 drop, and then you try and grab it, and then you die. So you have to be careful.
Yeah, for sure. Looks like everyone got a 20 drop except WQ's, who was kind of out of the way. I wouldn't have picked his up either. A textbook Armos fight for WQ. With a little swag spin at the end, too. Parisian shot an extra arrow on his second Armos, so he's going to have to shoot a couple more to finish up here. But he's got 5 leaving, so it shouldn't be a big issue.
Only wastes a few seconds and a few arrows. It's not too big a deal.
So I'm not sure which of these runners do the Sahasrara rupees or the tree rupees. I'm positive WQ will do the tree rupees. I believe Parisian does the tree rupees, but I'm not sure about Contos or Rezi, what their strategy is. So you really have 2 options. You can pick up 100 rupees behind Sahasrara on that bombable wall there, and be set to get into the Palace of Darkness later. Or you can opt for a slightly faster route that involves pulling items from the trees.
Looks like Contos is going to do the tree rupee route as well.
Yeah, and that makes sense. He's got 30 already. He's in a really good spot. He doesn't have to worry about getting any others the rest of the way.
And I think Rezi will get the Saha rupees because he's already around the side talking to Sahasrara.
Yeah, it looks like he's grabbing them. Good call. Picks up the bombs too. If you're going to do the Sahasrara rupees, I highly recommend grabbing the bomb chest as well. Don't have to worry about screwing up a bomb route later, and it's really, really convenient that it's in the middle of the 2 other chests. You see runners going for the spin speed to and from the library. Rezi not quite getting his leaving Sahasrara and just opting to dash the rest of the way through. Parisian not even attempting an exit, just dashing normally, hopping off ledges. Really nice movement there from him.
I think Contos is actually on pretty good pace. I think it's a sign that he's been practicing for this tournament.
Yeah, Contos has been more or less within 1 screen of Parisian the entire time so far, so very nice early game for him.
There's an 8 minutes difference in PB, but it's really not showing. He's playing well.
And so here we'll get to see a nice little poke dash strategy. If you charge your sword, just get a poke and then dash immediately after. You don't actually have to spin to kill that Sarlacc-looking monster. It's a pretty nice looking move. Saves a couple seconds. Parisian does it more like I do it. I move a little bit more to the right than WQ. And then Contos, you can see that does the spin attack, you know, maybe a second and a half slower. A lot more consistent though, for sure.
Lots of long hallways in Desert Palace. It's like the game wants to teach you how to use your new boots right away.
I think the thing that's unfortunate with the Desert Palace is that the game doesn't give you the magic mirror until afterward. And so this is like the one dungeon where there's a lot of backtracking through because you don't have that at your fingertips yet. Because all the other dungeons, once you get to Hera and the Palace of Darkness, those dungeons that allow you to mirror out multiple times is much more convenient than having to go back through. And for how long the hallways are in this dungeon, as you mentioned, it's kind of unfortunate that you don't have that yet.
WQ going for the risky spin speed there. The big risk is that if you go down a little bit too far, you'll actually jump out and you'll have to use the book to open up desert again. So I'm always too scared to go for it, but he's a lot braver than me.
It only saves like 40 frames, and that's if you do it well. I do it in runs. As long as you do the pause buffer and switch to the lamp after you leave the stairs, it's pretty safe with any amount of practice. But yeah, if you miss it by a second, you're gonna be hopping off and going through all of those long hallways that we just complained about again. So kind of a give or take, It's a pretty smooth movement for both Parisian and Contos through this whole dungeon. The distance that was between them when we entered the dungeon is pretty much maintained its course the entire time. So we got WQ fighting inarguably one of the most obnoxious bosses in the game. Each Lamo either takes 4 arrows or 8 slashes in some combination. Really nice cleanup for him on that last worm there.
He had a lot of work to do in that 4th cycle. He did well, because I was worried it wasn't going as well as it normally does for him.
Parisian having a little bit of trouble to start. Contos also having a bit of a hardship with the start of the fight. Looks like he's able to have a really nice 3rd cycle, though. Parisian with a really unlucky short hop from the last worm. Contos has now slightly overtaken Parisian because of that fight. Rezi struggling a little bit with the 1 torch, gave him a little bit of trouble on that quick turn, but he'll be heading into Landmo now, so hopefully his fight goes a little bit smoother than the other runners. WQ successful on his fake flippers up to Death Mountain. Rezi with a really nice 1st cycle on his Lambo. Rezi down to 1 heart. He needs to be careful here. Oh, we got the 2nd one down, so hopefully doesn't get trolled. Contos and Parisian are almost like frame perfect heading into their whirlpools. Oh, Parisian misses the whirlpool. Falling a little bit behind. Oh, having a little bit of trouble. A little dangerous there.
He needs to stay away from those fireballs. Wow.
Yeah, a little bit of some trollness there. But able to get through, fortunately, without taking the hit, which could be really costly. For the tournament, the rules that are established with the fake flippers are that if you get hit, you're required to save and quit to Link's house, and then you must travel back to the spot of the bush on the screen of the fake flippers to be able to proceed. So quite a time loss if you take a hit while you're in the water.
I believe that's actually for the knockouts. I think in the group stages they're allowing you to just continue however you want from Link's house.
Oh, okay. So in the group stages you're allowed to... Okay, so you just save and quit and continue on then?
Yeah, pretty much. But it's still obviously a big time loss.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's better than having to reset the entire run.
WQ with a really friendly Death Mountain trip. Parisian and Contos getting a little bit trolled by the sky cabbages.
I was really worried for Rezi there. He almost got hit by the laser as well.
Yeah.
The Zora appeared right on the portal, so you have to get in the portal right away, or otherwise you're in trouble. WQ having a short coffee break right now.
Yeah, in the tile room, if you head over to the left side of the left wall there, kind of where the two, I don't know, I guess like looks like a 30-degree angle-ish sort of meet, you're able to throw your boomerang and dash in the same frame, dash to the right, parallel to the bottom wall, while you throw the boom perpendicular to your movement. And you can kind of hit the switch at the same moment that you land on and just kind of chill out. Contos actually taking a death here in order to just get back to the start. It looks like he did not yet get the key, so he's going to have to go back. Oftentimes, if you head into this dungeon with like one heart, it's not unheard of to grab the key and then take an intentional heart of damage, since you're going to be mirroring to the beginning anyway, to regain 3 hearts. Rezi making his way on up the mountain. WQ having a really nice bomb jump to the Moon Pearl, and he will head on up to the bumper skip leading to Moldorm here. Also considered one of the trolliest bosses in the game, Moldorm has some kind of erratic and somewhat unpredictable movement patterns. He'll take 6 hits of Link's sword, either spins or slashes or dashes, any combination. And he has like a really, really clean fight.
Every runner of every skill level has trouble with Moldorm from time to time. It just can be really tough. But WQ did really well there.
You're a winner! And you know what? You're changing your gameplay. You're changing your life. You are an alpha gamer. Welcome to the WQ family.
I'm a winner.
Well then. So now Parisian's fighting Moldorm. You'll start to see WQ work on his rupees with the tree poles here. He's going to pull the tree, probably grab, looks like 2 or 3 blue rupees. He's going to get 3 here. Getting trolled by the pickle a little bit. Parisian with a pretty nice Moldorm fight as well. And Contos will be heading up into the fight himself.
Will be interesting to see which of our runners grabs the mushroom to get the powder as the safety item.
I imagine WQ and Parisian will probably not be picking it up. And I'm not sure about Rezi or Contos. Parisian could choose to pick it up for safety in the group stage in the tournament round, but I will not be surprised if he ignores it as well. And the same for both of the other runners. So I guess we'll just kind of see what they've decided to do for the group stages. Parisian's going to dash to the right of the tree. He only needed 1 rupee. He actually didn't need any of those rupees, but he only needed 1 more blue rupee to fill up his 30. So he didn't need to get the left rupees like WQ. So now they need to, after pulling the first tree, they will kill 4 enemies without taking any damage. WQ has just killed his 4th, and this will cause the next tree pull to drop 80 rupees. Thus, the 30 rupees plus 80 is going to get you to your 110. WQ's actually 1 rupee short of what he needs. There are 6 rupees that you will run into in the circle pots room in Aghanim's Tower, which will give you 6 more. So he needs 1 more green drop from something, or the additional blue rupee pot in Aghanim's Tower, whatever he chooses to do to make that up.
If he has to, he might even just stun an enemy with the boomerang and kill it for a guaranteed green rupee.
Yeah, there are a number of popos you can do outside, or I guess ropas in Dark World that you can do outside of pod if you need one too, with the boom.
You're a winner! And you know what? You're changing your gameplay. You're changing your life. You are an alpha gamer. Welcome to the WQ family.
WQ making his way through the dark maze here. Pretty good RNG on those movements. The dark maze can be really, really obnoxious with enemy movements. You know, clinking your sword or obviously shooting a beam will alert all the guards and kind of be an annoying room to deal with at times. Rezi trying to finish up his Moldorm here. And gets a nice kill on him. WQ actually running out of arrows, giving him a little bit of trouble with these red knights. And there's the 6 rupees from the Circle of Pots that I mentioned earlier. So now WQ's, as Shady mentioned, is probably going to be looking into booming an enemy on his way to Palace of Darkness for his 110th rupee.
Rezi got a nice swag spin speed, leaving Tower of Hera as well. That was pretty good. And he even avoided the squirrel who tried to block him.
Contos going for the spin on the serving up Din Din strategy here. If you're ever short on rupees, that room is also a really good room to look for making them up. Both of those gold knights can drop rupees pretty frequently. And so if you're ever short, that's a really nice room to try to get them in. We'll see how the blue balls go for WQ. Parisian missing the spin on the red Spear Knights, having a little bit of trouble there trying to regather himself, but he seems all right now.
Gets the bad RNG where the second red guard moves in front of him and he can't kill the first guard as quickly.
I think this should be it for WQ. Yeah, so WQ got a pretty average 3. And Parisian is now heading into the Aghanim fight himself. With Contos just slightly behind. Rezi coming out of the Lost Woods. He's making his way up to the tower as well. Plenty of rupees in hand. So hopefully he can have a pretty smooth move through Aghanim's Tower himself.
WQ starts his Dark World well below 30 minutes, so it's pretty good. It's a pretty good time for most players. I think he's a little bit off his PB, but still pretty solid.
Anything sub 30 minutes for Light World is a really good time. Yes, someone in chat asked, Parisian Player does in fact play on keyboard like a madman. Parisian gets his kill on Aghanim. Going to be getting like a 30-30 warp to the top of the tower. Also a very good time. And WQ is now heading into Palace of Darkness, where, as I mentioned earlier, you're going to get to see lots of use of the Magic Mirror, helping out, saving, backtracking through the dungeon. Contos getting pretty trolled by the Aghanim fight right now. Parisian gets like a 31-10 sword up. Pretty nice time for him. And Contos finishes off Aghanim there.
Contos looks to be about a minute 15 seconds, I think, behind Parisian at this point, so it's definitely still all to play for in that race.
Yeah, 1 minute is nothing in the Dark World here. So many ways things can go south very quickly. Ooh, Rezi taking a really, really harmful death almost the whole way through Aghanim's tower. That is going to be a really lengthy recovery, so hopefully he can have a smooth second run through here.
That's definitely one of the more costly deaths in terms of the amount of time it takes to get back. That's really unfortunate.
Like Ganon's tower, in the second half of Ganon's tower, most of the rooms are, in fact, not most of the rooms, but several of the rooms are a kill all the enemies to proceed, unfortunately, for the dungeon.
We're hopefully going to see a nice hammer yump from WQ. Needed a few buffers to get it, but still got it first time.
Contos trying to catch up a little bit here. Has a pretty nice overworld for himself heading into Palace of Darkness. See Parisian with a really nice bomb toss to the crack. Heading up to the big key now.
WQ running out of arrows in the Mimic's room here and takes some damage, so he's going to lose his sword beams now, so he can't do the next room quite as quickly. So he's losing a few seconds here.
Yeah, losing your beams causes you have to shoot an arrow there at the switch, and then it also causes an additional menu in the following room because you will need to use some other item to hit the switch before switching to hammer. I imagine he's going to go with the boomerang, but I guess we'll see. Oh, and he actually menued to lamp, so 2 additional menus. Trying to get the diagonal boom, not quite having a good time with it. Oh, and Rezi, no, Rezi
oh, no,
takes
Rezi.
Another death. WQ with a really nice turtle room, and he's going to head into the turtle hallway before the Helmasaur fight, which, given your heart level, is actually one of the most difficult fights in the run. Meantime, Contos is going to be going up for the bomb jump himself. WQ getting some nice RNG and some nice hammers, finishes off Helmasaur pretty well. Contos with a really, really slick hammer jump there. Opting not to throw the bomb early, a little bit safer, a little more time to prepare yourself for the jump itself. As Parisian is heading into the basement.
We could see Parisian player could use his beams, so we saved 2 menus there in that room.
Perf Turts rolling in. Turtle Room's a really, really fun room to practice and get good at.
Parisian player using the sword out technique for hammering Helmasaur, which is just a little bit safer, but it wastes a little bit of time due to lag. But it's a lot safer, and given how difficult the fight is, it's most people do that strategy, I think.
Both Parisian and WQ had really favorable RNG on the movement. Parisian got no fireballs on his there, which made for a nice smooth fight, even charging his sword the whole time for the most part. So hopefully Contos is able to have friendly RNG as well. Rezi finally heading into Aghanim. Hopefully we can get that 0 blue balls so that we can get him through the late world here.
Perfect turtle room for Contos.
Yeah, a nice set of turtle rooms for everyone so far.
Very nice on Contos' screen. He hammered the 17th and final hammer against the helmet when the orange ball was spawned, so he caused it to despawn, which is very nice.
WQ making his way to the Flute Bird, picking up the Swag Duck. And he'll be heading into Thieves Town. Parisian making his way to the Flute Boy where he will get his. And Contos not far behind Parisian.
Rezi finishes off Aghanim. Finally, he'll be annoyed at himself, but now that it's over, hopefully he can focus on get on with his Dark World.
Yep, it's all behind him now at this point, so looking forward to a nice Dark World for Rezi. Here you'll see some of the runners dashing with their hammer out. That is the item dash ability in the 1.0 cartridge, which allows you to dash with certain items out. The hammer allows you to just kind of dash through all of the pegs as you're moving, saving a second and a half here or there. It's a pretty nice maneuver. See if Parisian can avoid the Usain Bolt. Gets by him pretty smoothly, and he's going to head up and get the duck for himself.
Meanwhile,
WQ making his way up through Thieves Town, got the big key there, and now he's going to head into the second half in the back.
Contos needing 2 digs to get the flute, but finally has it, and he's still about a minute and a half behind Parisian player, so still close race.
WQ had a really nice hellway there, despite having a really unfortunate RNG of enemy movement that would have disallowed him to actually use the God Pixel to his advantage. Still got through really, really smoothly. Parisian getting to the entrance of the dungeon for himself, so he'll be heading into Thieves Town now, and Contos is right behind where he'll be picking up the duck here. WQ's actually had some pretty unfortunate enemy RNG in several of the rooms so far, but has been able to avoid most of what bad things could go wrong in them pretty well. He's going to be heading into the dungeon, picking up the false maiden being held captive.
So interestingly, Contos looks like he's going up to the mountain to pick up the Ether Medallion earlier than people traditionally do.
Parisian also got unlucky with his enemy movement in the hellway. He actually managed to get the God Pixel, but had the Patrick Star blocking his way, preventing him from actually getting the smooth access. WQ's grabbed the Titan mitts, and now he'll be heading into the blind fight, which, for whatever reason, is one of the most difficult fights for people to get consistent at when they begin speedrunning the game, but it quickly becomes one of the easiest fights after understanding and studying the enemy AI and how fixed it really is. Each of the heads will take exactly 3 slashes or 3 hammers or whatever item you want to use that damages them, and more or less can finish the fight identically each time, as WQ has just illustrated.
It's like the opposite of the Moldorm fight, where
More or less, yeah.
Rezi got a nice hammer jump on his screen, so hopefully he's making time up, trying to get back in it.
Contos finishing off his travels to the Ice Rod and Ether Medallion with a nice little powder pickup for himself, giving himself that extra boost in safety and security, which could actually play a massive deal in his race with Parisian if Parisian were to take a death in one of the later dungeons.
Yeah, Misery Mire and Turtle Rock in particular can be really treacherous, and there's a lot of anti-fairies in them that you can powder to get your health back. So they're actually not so bad when you have the powder, but when you don't, you have to be really accurate, and some bad enemy RNG or some bad movement can ruin your run.
Parisian with a really nice clean fight of blind as well. And now Contos is not far behind after his little trips there, heading into Thieves Town. So it looks that Contos is actually further behind than he really is, because he traveled up Death Mountain to get the Ether and then went to the Ice Rod Cave to get the Ice Rod already, which Parisian will obviously have to do later on. Rezi heading back to the bomb jump here, realizing that he needed a small key that he forgot to grab.
Pretty good second bomb jump as well.
WQ getting my favorite trick in the game, the fence dash, dashing around that fence without bonking or having to start a second dash. There's a couple of pixels that you can do it from, and it looks so nice. Contos also having a little bit of trolley enemy movement in his hellway. It wasn't friendly to anyone so far. His Parisian is on his way to pick up the Tempered, and WQ has just entered Skull Woods, making his way through the mummy room here. Kind of a treacherous room if the mummies troll you.
WQ is very unfortunate to have both the skeleton and the mummy waiting for him on the other side, so he can't just walk through or slash his sword.
Typically, if there is one enemy, or even if there's two, which is kind of uncommon, if there is an enemy in your way, the easiest way to get through it is actually to just dash straight up into the enemy, wait for them to kind of stagger, and then turn whichever direction you want to head, left or right, and then you can usually get through pretty safely. But yeah, he had both, so it was kind of an unfortunate setup for him. Rezi finishing up the sweep of perfect turtle rooms for the entire stream today. So everyone, if you want something positive to look back on your runs later, guys, go watch your turtle rooms. You all made me proud.
Rezi with a nice Helm of Sword fight so far, despite getting the bad RNG, all the orange balls so far.
WQ misstepping there a little bit, falling into the hole. 2 hearts heading into the mummy hellway. Hopefully he doesn't have too much trouble with Mothula here. Contos grabbed his mitts, and he'll be heading up into the blind fight with full health, so should be looking pretty good for him. WQ opted to grab an extra heart there, just in case he does take a beam. Oh, and starts the fight off with one. WQ is in kind of a tight spot now, but manages to get the final hit off without allowing any of the spikes to kind of get in his way. So despite a rough start, that extra heart he picked up before the fight made a world of difference for him.
Extra heart saved his life there. It was a good finish though. He was careful and avoided the spikes after that.
Contos on the next cleanup and blind as well. Yeah, but yeah, that heart made made the fight go kind of how it went, I guess. Yeah. Mothula is one of the toughest fights to practice, just because of how much random element there is in both his movement and the floor movement and the spikes all kind of going together. You kind of have to practice being able to react to all of them. Josh RTA has a fantastic tutorial on the fight if you'd like to see how to make the fight a little bit easier for yourselves. It's in the Help Us Store in the Discord and also online. So you'll see Contos earlier, Parisian and WQ picked up 2 chests of 300 rupees. Contos just grabbed the first of the 2, and these will fund the flipper purchase later on. Parisian had a really nice moth fight. Kind of got behind him a little bit and then a little off to the side and was able to hit him right into that block on the right.
Very nice fight, and that lasts really quickly, which is always good because if you can kill him before the spikes start moving, it helps a lot.
Yeah, that's kind of the key to the fight. If you can... The problem is if you do the fight kind of slow, then, like you mentioned, once you have the spikes moving, it gets more dangerous as the fight lasts longer and longer. Rezi accidentally walking back into the warp after losing iframe, looking for the flute. A little trouble there, dodging it. Should be able to get it here, though. All right, there you go. So here WQ will be making use of his rupee pickups and grabbing himself some finger web flippers. Parisian will be making his way up to do the same.
So
WQ
Contos
is
is...
going to be entering Ice Palace. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
It's okay, carry on.
I was just saying WQ's making his way to Ice Palace, that's all.
And yeah, so Contos is entering Skull Woods, but again, he's not as far behind as it seems because he's picked up Ether and Ice Rod, and Parisian player hasn't, so it's still a bit unclear what the distance is, but it's still fairly close, I think.
So Ice Palace obviously adds the element of the ice floors in the dungeon, kind of makes for some interesting tech and movement on a couple of the screens. You'll see like use of the hammer to propel Link forward in certain directions and some sword slashes. It's kind of an interesting dungeon. It's also the dungeon that has the largest skip in probably the game in any dungeon, with the Ice Palace bomb jump that we'll see.
Oh, WQ.
Had a little trouble
Yeah.
there, yeah.
Oh no, Andy falls attempting the bomb jump as well. It's not too costly, but he's not playing at 100%. Maybe he's a bit nervous because it's the first tournament game.
He's just going to have to keep an eye on his bomb count. He needs a couple bombs now, but it shouldn't be a huge issue. He can get some in Swamp if he needs to. Obviously, there's the bomb slug in Mire he can kill if he would like. But he just needs to kind of keep it in the back of his mind that he's going to need to pick up some bombs to make up for the ones he's just lost. Contos going for the powder actually took the bunny beam and has now been blunt bunnied. But now he'll be heading into the moth fight here shortly as well.
He's not really low on health. He's going to have the same amount of hearts as WQ, so let's hope he can have as good a fight. Multila is not being friendly at all. He's hugging the left wall. Oh no!
Took a body there for the final two hearts, it looks like. So he'll have to do that segment over again. Fortunately, that death is one of the least costly deaths in a Dark World dungeon as far as the boss deaths can go, because of the break in the dungeon rather than having to redo it. The problem, as you see now, he's going to have to try to farm some magic to be able to light all the torches.
Only getting 5 rupees though, but that's not going to help light those lamps.
Got a full drop there, but at an expense of most of his hearts. Fortunately, I'm assuming he'll go to try to powder the bunny beam again in the next room and hopefully have a little more luck with it this time. There he goes. That's what he wanted ideally the first time.
Now, funnily enough, he may want to lose one of his hearts before he goes into the fight, because the sword beams can interfere with your sword slashes and can make the fight last longer.
While WQ is making his way down to the Swamp Palace, Parisian is about to be dropping into Cold Stairs, so hopefully he can have a smooth fight there. As Contos is having a little bit of trouble still with his second attempt at Mothula. Actually taking a couple of spikes there. That's going to be pretty costly for him. Hopefully he can have a nice third try and kind of, finish it up. That way he can continue on and just get this one behind him. Meanwhile, Parisian had a little bit of little slight mishap with the Cold Stare. Didn't actually take any damage, but the puffs kind of got out of hand a little bit, but he cleaned it up really, really nicely.
Yeah, it's okay if the puffs get away, because it costs a few seconds. But as long as you don't die to Cold Stare, because it's a much, much worse death than Moth.
Rezi finishing up blind there. Actually had a really nice blind fight for him. So that's awesome. He'll be grabbing that crystal and he'll be heading on to get his tempered sword next then. As Contos is going into Mothula again, hopefully he can avoid the bad RNG of the spikes this time. Nice dash to start. Nice. Really nice fight there that time. Unfortunate that he got a little stroke of bad luck on the first attempt with the bunny beam, disallowing him from getting that fairy that he definitely would have wanted. But nice that he was able to clean it up there and continue onward.
Yeah, just needs to put the death behind him now and go on and have a good rest of the Dark World. Redzi's actually had quite a good Dark World, like apart from forgetting the small key, but his play's been much better in the Dark World, so he's doing well.
I actually did not know that Parisian player got the Ether before Swamp. I'm curious to see if he gets the Ice Rod before Swamp as well, because that's what a Metatron and I do, and it is the best route because the best people do it. So let's see how proud Parisian makes me now. He is #1 in my heart right now. Not letting me down at all. Actually got a bush guard slashing that crab, unfortunately.
But I guess the advantage of doing Ether and Ice Rod before Swamp is that it's okay if you don't have full hearts going into Swamp Palace, whereas it's much worse if you're not full health going into Mire.
Yeah, that's exactly why Emma and I both do it. Because if you take some damage on Death Mountain, it's not the end of the world. Going into Mire with full health is obviously an ideal scenario for the dungeon that you intentionally take the most damage.
The disadvantage of doing it this way is, of course, not having the hook shot to make climbing Death Mountain a little bit quicker, but there's still only a second or two difference between the two different strategies.
Yeah, the only difference between the two is that you have the hook shot after Swamp, and you can hook dash up Death Mountain rather than have to actually charge your sword and spin. That's really the negligible difference. So it's really not much at all. It's just kind of a preference thing, and to me, having full health and beams going into Mire is significantly more important than, you know, saving a second on Death Mountain, which you can easily lose with bad cabbage RNG anyway. That's only in like the ideal world that it's exactly a second or whatever. It's not much at all. And even El Magus does that route apparently. So as you can see, like, you know, more inexperienced runners can do it really, really well. Fortunately, shout outs to him.
Resi having a little bit of difficulty with the statue and skull, but I think he's got it now.
WQ with a textbook Zero Cycle Argus fight with the Fire Rod shots. Really, really nice fight there. The Zero Cycle Argus strat is one of the more difficult boss strats. I just started doing it a couple months ago. It's kind of a technical boss fight with some movement adaptations to it, but it does save about 6 to 8 seconds if you do it properly. So it's a really, really nice strategy to work on for more advanced players, but I do not recommend it for people that are still developing their foundation of the game.
It's not necessarily a boss you're likely to die to, but it's definitely one of the hardest to optimize. It's quite difficult, that strat.
Yeah, the way you put that is really, really accurate. It's really not easy to die to, but to get the optimal strategy down, it's really, really difficult. That's really a really nice way to put that. Rezi doing the hover there. I do not do the drop a bomb on Skullwoods either. I like to save my bombs so that I don't need to pick one up later. I skip a bomb pickup for my bomb route by doing that in Skullwoods as well. It's actually kind of nice. It's a little bit faster too. You save yourself a couple menus.
Contos having a bit of trouble with the skeletons, and now he doesn't have a bomb for the bomb jump. Oh, okay. He gets a drop. That's quite fortunate.
Let's just hope he makes it count, that's all.
You've got one try. Come on, you can do this, Contos. Otherwise, he might have to break out the hover as well.
Took his time with some buffers there. Well worth it, though, for sure, to make sure he gets across there. So very nice pressure bomb hover, or well, bomb hover, my words, bomb jump for Contos.
That was definitely the right move. A few buffers cost a few seconds, but if he messes that up, it costs a lot more time. It would cost a few minutes at least.
WQ finishing up his item pickups there. Now he's going to be heading into the Misery Mire. Taking care of that pesky bird, putting him on ice for everyone. This is WQ as he heads into the mire, and Parisian is going to make his way into Argus. I'm not actually sure if Parisian does attempt the Zero Cycle Argus or not, so this will be something for all of us to see. Looks like he's just going to opt to do some sword slashes.
Very nice Mire room by WQ. Takes out all the enemies really quickly.
And a nice one-cycle Argus for Parisian as well.
Contos needs to be careful. Oh no!
Contos with the cold stare kiss. We'll have to see what he wants to do now that he has no magic. If he wants to try to farm it or if he just wants to head to swamp and come back later. We'll see what he chooses to go for here. Gets the first try magic drop, so I think he's going to be heading right back in here.
Yeah, the alternative is to just go do Swamp now and then come back to Ice Palace when you get the free refill after the boss.
If you are a newer runner and you don't want to like mess with the route at all, you can do what Contos did and throw the bushes and rock at the pickles to try to get the magic drop. And if you don't get it, you can just walk into the cave and right back out and respawn everything and do it again until you get one. And it's usually not too bad of a time loss. Since Parisian already did all his little shopping spree, he's going to be heading straight to the mire with full health, unless he makes a mistake here that I don't hope on anyone ever.
I have taken damage before attempting to line up the bird toss, so let's hope he doesn't do that.
Parisian's going to be heading into the Mire 2 now. And this is what I was saying. One of the benefits of the route we were talking about that Parisian has done is that you're almost guaranteed to have beams for this room, which makes it, you know, significantly more friendly than only having the fire rod for everything. And on top of that, having an abundance of hearts for the rest of Mire, which is kind of a treacherous dungeon in which you'll intentionally take quite a bit of damage on the boss. It's nice to have more than less for sure. Rezi picking up his flips there. The flips, the floops. The floops, the roops, the floops. Scoops. Something. WQ throwing his bomb here. WQ is actually the individual who has pioneered the probably the most adopted Vitreous fight, so you'll kind of get to see him demo that, probably with some really nice delivery. So keep your eye on his stream to see his strats that most people run with nowadays.
If done correctly, it only loses 3 hearts and it's very quick, so it's pretty impressive.
There it is, the 0 cycle, 3 hearts of damage. Pump some arrows in and he'll be on his way. That is a textbook Vitreous fight.
Very impressive.
Parisian is still looking good here. He's coming up on the cane of Samaria. He'll be grabbing that and heading on into the basement himself, trying to make his way to Vitreous as well, wrapping up Mire. Rezi down there, he'll be heading to the Ice Palace bomb jump now, grabbing the key, and hopefully having a smooth transition down to Cold Stare for himself. WQ almost getting squirrel blocked, trying to dodge the second, actually hops off the ledge, but a pretty quick recovery. Even with some bad squirrel RNG, kind of smoothly makes his way through after falling off there. Pretty nice recovery for him.
Resi having a little bit of trouble with the bomb jump. Might need to try and hover it.
Looks like we're getting a hover part 2 attempt for Rez.
Come on, Rez, you got this.
Doesn't quite make it the whole way. He's going to have to pop into ice again here. Just an issue of just not enough health to be able to tank the bomb hit, unfortunately.
Doesn't have to farm for magic, though, so that's not so bad.
Yeah, that's the kind of the nice thing, I guess, for lack of better words. But not having to farm any magic, kind of head right back in and give it another go. Parisian up top there, finishing up his Vitreous fight. Also a really nice set of spins, and he'll be wrapping up the major eye there. WQ just starting into Turtle Rock. So now he's going to be heading into the roller room. There's a couple ways you can opt to route this dungeon. One of them involves tanking a 3-heart hit from the roller, which WQ is going to do here, and then dashing through the second. You can also opt to mirror back to the beginning and walk back through, which is a few seconds slower, but obviously infallible in how many hearts you'll have to take intentionally. So newer players will often go for that. I just recently switched to the roller damage myself, and that wasn't until I had like a 128, so don't ever feel pressured to abandon the mirror at all.
WQ got a nice fairy drop from the Pokey as well, and then immediately needed it because the chomps are eating him up, and he's now down to 4 hearts.
Yeah, had some pretty rough chomps RNG there. Persian with a really nice first screen on Death Mountain. It's probably the most difficult screen of the overworld on this segment, so it's always nice to get through that one. Pretty nice. The old Waffle House.
WQ gets the bottom left Pokey RNG in that room, which is the most difficult to get right, but when you do get it right and you get the key dash into the door, it looks really good.
Parisian had a pretty nice overworld on his way to Turtle Rock. Again, it's probably one of the more difficult overworlds. That and maybe like Thieves Town can be kind of tricky for their longevity and number of enemies you have to kind of deal with. So he had a pretty smooth one as well. Rezi, meanwhile, dipping into the Cold Stare fight.
This is a bit hairy. He needs to avoid damage from everything. Everything will kill him.
Takes a nice block to the dome, unfortunately. So he's going to be faced with the same decision. I'm imagining he's going to try to see if he can get the magic again rather than leave.
Yeah, it's the same dilemma. Just taking a second to decide what to do.
Parisian also opting to tank 3 hearts in the roller room. Really nice job for him. Again, that's a really technical trick. It saves a couple seconds if you're able to do it, though. WQ here, he'll be going for the laser skip. Actually gets a bonk, manages to dodge the laser, and gets the key safely on his second try. Parisian only gets a heart drop. His fairy drop will be in the next part of the prize pack, but has a perfect Chomp's room without beams. So good for him. Hopefully he'll get his fairy drop on the next Pokey that he'll kill here shortly.
WQ going for the backdoor Trinex fight, which is the fastest, and he'll hope to try and get the 0 cycle.
I actually think that the backdoor strat actually makes the fight a little easier as well. The initial dash takes a little bit of practice, but because the front door strats kind of allow Trinex to get set and start moving, it makes the fight a little harder to predict at times. And obviously he can lay the ice on the ground, which can screw things up. So I find that the backdoor strat actually makes the fight considerably easier with some practice than waiting for him.
Yeah, definitely. If you get the backdoor dash correct, then the rest of the fight is pretty predictable and it's the same pretty much every time. Whereas if you do the front door strat, you can't, for some RNGs, you can't prevent the ice head from covering the floor with ice. So.
Yeah, exactly. I just think it's interesting. It's like one of the few boss strats that is faster and also I think makes the fight slightly easier. Usually those two things don't go hand in hand, speed and difficulty.
I guess the risk is if you dash up and you hit his foot, you'll take a lot of damage, and then the fight will go very badly.
Yes, that is the issue. Like I said, it's like the initial dash, like we kind of mentioned. Like if you can get that down, the rest of it is usually a little easier. But that's the thing to practice for sure, is that dash. Making sure you don't hit the spike, making sure you don't hit his toe. You know, he's got pretty nasty claws, I guess. So, Contos finishing up Cold Stare for himself. WQ heading in GT. And Parisian is going to be picking up his last dungeon key from the laser room. He needs to be a little careful. A laser would be a death for him. Rezi pulling on the tongue of the statue there while the Iceman is just kind of crawling around behind him. I was curious to see if Parisian was actually going to bomb the wall just in case. Chose not to. And was just fine, so good for him.
He will need to be a little careful because the... Oh no, the Pokey kills him!
Oh no! And that's why I had mentioned I was curious to see if he would hit the door, because even the laser was not the last obstacle. You know, a hit from Trinex would have done it. Obviously, the Pokey killed him with how many hearts he had, so...
I was about to say the Pokey head would... sorry, I was about to say Trinex was a danger, but I forgot about the Pokey as well.
Yeah, the Pokey can be kind of trollish there. Ideally, you would get either good RNG with the Pokey or have iframes from the peg that you press in order to kind of just walk through him. Fortunately for Parisian, he's got a little bit of a buffer over Contos still, so... I don't think that this is going to completely change the complexion of the race as it's unfolded so far, but probably not going to be like the time that Parisian was hoping for in his opening race. So we'll see if he's able to have, you know, a nice comeback with a smooth second attempt and a good G Tower to finish up here. Well, WQ is kind of making his way through G Tower as well.
Rezi manages to take down Cold Stare. Unfortunately, it's on the practice hack.
WQ had a good Ice Armos fight. This is actually a little more significant than it has an outward appearance of, because the fight generates the values that are used to compile where the Fire Bats and the Ganon fight are going to be. So finishing the fight in under a certain number of seconds, I don't know what that number is, but I know that WQ's fight achieved that. Will allow for uniform Fire Bats that are practiced most frequently.
The interesting thing about that is that the counter keeps on timing after you leave the room. So if you choose to go and pick up the red mail to make Ganon's tower and Ganon a little bit easier, it can give you the bad fire bats pattern if you're a bit slow getting the red mail.
If you re-enter it, you mean? Like if you go get the big key and then re-enter the room?
No, I mean if you beat Ice Armos very efficiently, but then you're a bit slow going to get the red mail, you'll still get the bad fire bats pattern.
Ah, I did not know that. That's interesting. Parisian also going for the backdoor strats. Finishing off the first head. Misses a fire rod shot, but lands the second pretty quickly. Trying to be a little bit careful not to get hit by Trinex's head, which would do 4 hearts to him, unfortunately. So he's being a little cautious with his slashes. And his spin stood a little bit off to the side, not going for the double spin, just in case. Manages to take care of him pretty well.
Yeah, it's pretty sensible to play it safe there just to make sure. Very nice Landmo 2 fight by WQ. Gets it in the 1 cycle. Carries on up the gauntlet.
Getting through the first Wizrobe's room pretty nicely. He'll head across the laser bridge and try to do the same with the second here. Parisian's going to be heading into Ganon's tower now as well, so less than 1 dungeon behind WQ, which is really good considering he had that death to Trinex. WQ is going to be grabbing the chest key, it looks like. Which he'll get here. He'll throw this, do a little hook shot, grab the key, and now he'll make his way to the Moldorm refight. Parisian going to head down in the dungeon. We'll see if he opts for the lamp key or if he's going to get one of the ones later as well. WQ failing the hover as Parisian skips the lamp key, so he'll be getting either the chest or Helma key as well.
WQ decides only to attempt the hover once, and then he kills Moldorm 2 afterwards. And now he's going on to the Aghanim 2 fight, where he'll hope for a nice 3 cycle. 2 is possible, but you can't always guarantee it, but 3 cycles is always a good fight.
Parisian took 1 heart there from the Fire Snake. Hopefully it doesn't make much of a difference to him later on, though. WQ actually hit all 3 balls there, but I'm not sure how many they're going to register for him. Looks like it gave him at least 2 because he finished it off there with that first one on that last cycle. Pretty nice fight for WQ. Parisian took a tumble off the bridge there. Now he'll be bonking over this time and heading into the Ice Armos fight for himself. Anti-Fairy snuck out of there and gave him a little hug as well. WQ dropping in again at 124.15, which is a really, really nice time for a tournament race for sure. Parisian grabbing the arrows, and he'll be mirroring out to start the second half of the upstairs of Ganon's upstairs. And WQ heading on to the penultimate phase of the Ganon fight. Getting some warps. He needs to get 12 spins on Ganon now here. Gets his first one before the torch. Looks like he managed to get a second one. It's hard without audio to know, but it looked like he got the second hit there.
I think he got both hits, yeah. Looks like he gets a nice triple on this phase.
He has really, really good strategies for this, for the Ganon fight, for the final phase. I kind of listened to him one time. He was talking about how he uses the sounds of the warps to know when to release his spins. It's really, really technical what he does, and cleans it up. Really, really nice final phase of Ganon. Despite a couple trolley warps, that was like a really, really, really nice fight. He's going to finish with a time just over 126. So really nice finish for WQ. So that'll be his first win of the tournament. Unfortunately, Rezi had, kind of got trolled quite a bit. But hopefully he'll have a nice comeback in his follow-up race. Parisian, meanwhile, headed into the Landmo 2.
Just misses the 1 cycle, but should get the 2 cycle. Two very good Wizrobe rooms by Parisian player. Moves on to the torch room now.
No, just not enough magic to use his fire rod there, unfortunately, for Priz. So he had to pick up the extra pot there and then go and grab the full magic in the next room.
Mirroring out. Why?
Parisian getting the
he saw
sprite
that.
despawn.
Oh no!
So he actually had to mirror out. Noticed right away that the sparks were not on the screen. And now realizes that he did not have enough arrows to take out Mimic's 1. And is either going to have to leave, which it looks like he's choosing to do, or farm arrows from the green Mimic in the second room. So it looks like he's heading out to go pick up some arrows. So
I believe there's a chest on the right side. If he goes right in Ganon's tower, he can get some arrows from there. I think there's a chest of 10 arrows there.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to kill some... I thought he was going to kill the Armos. Maybe he's going into Eastern, I don't know. I'm assuming Parisian just didn't know about the chest in Ganon's tower and is just his first reaction was, I'll come to Eastern. I know there's 15 arrows there. Easy. Now it looks like he's going to grab himself some full health, and then he's going to head back. Unfortunately, there's really no easy way to Ganon's Tower. Well, yeah, there really isn't a friendly way to Ganon's Tower, unfortunately.
He did leave the portal there.
Yeah,
but
he has his
wants
portal
to go up.
there.
But if he goes up the normal route to get to Hera, then he will
Yeah.
lose his portal again.
He's going to have to go to the right side of the Death Mountain, either one way or the other, unfortunately. Yeah, it looks like he's just going to go straight for the right, and then he'll go up and head west across the bridge and hit his warp, which is probably a little bit faster than going the Tower of Hera way and then heading to the Turtle Rock portal.
And now he seems like he's forgotten he left the portal there. Is he going to the Turtle Rock Warp anyway?
Yeah, I think he's just forgotten that he has his warp, honestly, at this point. But it's fine.
Just autopilot, I guess.
Yeah, I think a lot of it was just like, probably a little bit worried when he realized he ran out of arrows and just trying to go with the first answer that he has that will solve his problem in both of those instances. So, heading back into the Mimic's room. Having a little trouble getting the bottom Mimic to cooperate with his movement. Gets another arrow drop, though, so he should be good for the remainder of the run. Hopefully, doesn't have any problems leaving the torch room this time. So, pretty decent gauntlet rooms for Parisian. He'll be finishing up his last gauntlet here, getting a little heart before he heads into the Landmolus refight. Hopefully he can better his 2-cycle from last time. There you go, a nice little textbook 1-cycle for him, so some positivity heading into this next segment here.
That was really tidy. That's the real reason he mirrored out, just to get that right
Yeah,
again.
he wanted to make sure you guys all got to see that, that's all.
And I can almost guarantee he's going to be real careful going up those stairs in a few rooms' time.
You can see on Resi Stream, the ever-elusive Storm has actually maintained its course during the credits. All right, now we got some sparks. We got some torches lit. We're going to progress onward. Parisian now finally answered my question from earlier. He is going for the Helmasaur key. Unlike WQ, chose the chest key. Ooh, Parisian actually throws the bomb and has to head back and grab one underneath.
There's a bomb on the bottom left chest.
Yeah,
bottom left
chest.
pot as well.
There's a pot. There's one under the pot, and he opted for the 3 in the chest. But yeah, there is one under the pot that you can get. Also having a little bit of trouble, so actually I guess it's nice that he got the 3.
Good thing he got the chest, eh?
Gets his dash through Mold Arm, gets a nice spin to finish him off. Really nice Mold Arm to clean up for Parisian. So now he'll be heading across onto Aghanim too, so hopefully he can get some nice patterns. A nice smooth fight there.
Gets a single in the first cycle, and I don't know how many counted for the second one. Maybe 2.
Oh, a nice little finish up there for him. So hopefully Parisian can have a nice Ganon fight and finish up his run here. Gets the nice double spin. Bottom right RNG, my least favorite personally. Misses one of the slashes, it looks like. Looked like he only... No, he got 12. It looked like he'd only had 11. I must have missed one.
I thought it was just 11 too. I actually think the bottom right is my favorite of the patterns because you can line up along with the torch, so it keeps you going up straight up.
So he gets one spin, a nice little courtesy spin before the torch glitch. So far, some really nice fire rotting and spinning for Paris. Should be just about wrapping up the fight here shortly. And down goes Ganon, who will finish here. Parisian with slightly over 139. Looks like it's going to be like a 139.16 or something. No, 139.12 maybe? Something like that. Ooh, not too bad, considering the issue in Ganon's Tower certainly being one of the worst glitches that you can get in the game. The Ganon's Tower despawn. So congrats to Parisian for being able to stick it out and win the race despite having that issue happen. Hopefully that happens to no one else for the remainder of the tournament.
Yeah, it can be really painful, but he's done a good job to finish it out. with still a sub 140 time. So not what he's looking for, but still pretty good time considering.
We'll see if we're able to get Contos' stream kind of squared away. It's still kind of just hopping around like once every 30 seconds or so.
Hello.
Hey, what's up, Parisian? How's it going, dude?
Well,
Sorry about your despawn.
GG Parisian.
wow, no, that one was a roller coaster because so despite 5 levels, I'm on PB pace entering T-Rock, and then I don't have the ferry before the jumps, and I got the RNG in the pokey room before the big key, where I cannot really get the ferry because the ferry was a bit low, so I could not dash, and so I decided to continue like this. Then okay, I did crap, so I died. I didn't get the magic drop also in the double pokey room, so I have no magic at all for the final room before Trinex, and so I didn't know what to do, and so I just ran into a pokey by myself like a big boy. After that, yeah, the gameplay was a lot worse than what it was before. And I got that crap.
Yeah, the pokey was kind of trollish. We were a little nervous. I had mentioned when he went into the laser room that when you were at 2.5 hearts, I was not at all surprised that you did not blow the door, but I wasn't sure if you were going to or not. And then when you didn't, I was a little nervous at the laser skip, which you did perfectly. And then, you know, unexpected got the...
Well, 3 tries. I had to replace myself twice, but...
Yeah, it's okay. But I mean, hey, no damage taken there. But then the movement of that pokey was just kind of trollish, it looked like.
I didn't know what to do. I don't know if... I guess you have to do the normal strat using throwing 2 pots, but like... It never happens to me to not have magic there, because at some point you're supposed to get the magic refill. None of the 2 pokies gave me the magic refill. I don't know what are the odds about that. I got the ferry, and so the double pokey room should have, I don't know.
Yeah, each
so I
one
think
of
a
them
chance
had,
on 16,
50,
maybe.
Yeah, a 50% chance on each one. So yeah, it's something wild like that, I guess.
And both of them, well, the pokey can drop you 2 items every time. So I think it's 4 items total. 1 out of 16. Not very lucky there. And I don't know really what I missed to not get the cycle correctly in Ganon's Tower on the despawn, on the sprite despawn, because okay, I fire rod when apparently I didn't have enough magic. That was a big surprise for me. I really thought I had just enough.
You must have been like 1 torch, like 1 lamp torch shy of it, I guess, because it, you know, I'm with you. It looked like you were good to go.
And then, but I mean, the text appears, but it's not supposed to lose much time in game time, you know, like within the cycles of torches. And after that, it was normal. I played my torches were normal, and the way I grabbed the magic after that was normal. So I was really surprised I didn't make the cycle correctly there. And after that, I had only 2 arrows. I tried to go for a drop, which I did not get. And after that, I have no idea where to get arrows, so that's why I went to Eastern Palace, because I know they are there.
Yeah,
maybe desert, actually.
That's what I said. I was like, I imagine that the first thing you thought of was Eastern has 15 that I'm positive are there. I'm going there right now. That's what I figured you were doing.
Yeah, but desert must be quicker. You have you have a few pots early desert, and like in the very first rooms, you can even the first pot has 5 arrows, so I can like mirror twice and grab the spots. It must be a lot quicker than going to Eastern. You have to do the cannonball room, the Stalfos room, etc.
So Rezi, how's things?
Great. Really glad the race was so close.
Hey, you're part of an elite company. Anyone that turns on the practice hack during any sort of event is literally the best people in the entire world. So you are among god tier.
I'm glad to be a part.
No, of course. I've been kind of memed for prac hacking at events, so I'm with you, man. But how do you feel about the run, other than the issues, obviously, and in the dark world?
Me?
Skullwoods was okay. That's about it. Pretty much.
I saw Contos died in Colster, but after that I didn't see. Apparently his stream was freezing a lot.
Yeah, he's kind of been frozen for a while now, and it just kind of like hops around occasionally. So we'll see.
Because I
going on.
was doing the maths when I saw that I got the sprite despawn, because I was like, okay, he has a 134. Let's say he's on 135 pace, usually in this gameplay. He died to Cold Stare, so that's like a 138. Let's hope that some crap happened to him, because 139 might not be enough yet.
I died when I heard you got the despawn.
Was there any sprite despawn in the previous tournament, or is that the first despawn in A Link to the Past NMG tournament?
I mean, it's definitely the first in this one, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if in the last one, if anyone had it. I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and look at the 2016 tournament to see if anyone actually got it. Hopefully that no one else will get it for the remainder of the tournament, because it's fortunately it didn't end up costing you the race, but that is definitely like, you know, one of the worst ways to lose a race is when it's something kind of out of your control like that.
All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for the race, guys, and good luck in your next ones as well.
Thanks for commentaries. Bye-bye.
Good luck, have fun, keep cape.
GG's, guys.
Take it easy, man. Alright, well, it doesn't look like we're having much luck with Contos' stream right now. Whoever's restreaming seems to have his kind of frozen where it's at, so...
I can see on his raw stream that he's still in Ganon's tower on the 142.5 mark. He's on the gauntlet.
Okay.
So at least we know the result of the top race. The Parisian player has won.